Prince's name on it. Anahita, I'm sorry I wanted to get into this with you because there's issues about whether these doctors have any liabilities if we find any doctors' names on any prescriptions to anybody around Prince.
There is a criminal investigation pending still, Dr. Drew, and the authorities are going to look at that. They're going to look at who gave him these prescriptions. Were his friends, family, acquaintances? Was anyone helping him get these pills? So I think we can't really rule out that there may be criminal charges with respect to Prince's death. I think it's too soon to tell, but the feds are investigating.
All right, the search for the will goes on. Anahita, you had a question for me.
Yeah, I was wondering, do you know what was wrong with him? Why was he taking this fentanyl?
Yeah, it's this story that we see all together too often, which is I'm going to predict that if he had that hip replacement, that scar on his hip is a hip replacement or some sort of hip stabilizing procedure, that he got on opiates post-op, the pain never seemed to go away. He kept going with the opiates, and finally it escalated into a severe dependency, and maybe, and it's very crazy. Anahita, you're shaking your head. I
mean, of course, so many people, hundreds of people have come forward now trying to claim they're somehow related to Prince, that they deserve some of this inheritance.
I may be putting you on the stop. Wasn't there a new judgment today of some type about the requirements for accessing or having even considered to be accessing the estate?
I'm not sure, but I know the court required that DNA tests be taken, and I think it's just going to come down to the DNA tests. And they're requiring it that some of these people actually pay for the DNA test. So maybe that's a way to sort of vet out the people that are not being that credible. But I think it's just going to come down to that. And there's one individual that claims he's Prince's biological son,
right.
Dr. Drew.
Oh, we've reported on him. He's in prison. He's got quite a track record. Whom you trust. Anahita, it's troubling, but there's nothing there to report. You can't do anything. You can't take any action on that.
You can't, but you have to ask yourself, were there not any other warning signs? Maybe not that social media post, but apparently he had been attacking this professor for months before the killing on different Facebook posts, I believe. So, you know, did anyone see anything? Did his family, his friends see any suspect behavior? Dr. Drew, this wasn't just a heat of passion rage killing. This was clearly planned. It was plotted. It was premeditated. And you always have to ask yourself, could this have been prevented if somebody saw something?
Well, I'm gonna go to Ron, who profiled. And Anahita, one of the curious aspects of those events around the UCLA shooting was that people were a little critical of the massive response by the LA SWAT and various organizations, law enforcement organizations. I thought it was fantastic. There's worry out there that they may have left other parts of the city exposed. I'm sure they're thinking about that, but I think this finding, if nothing else, warranted that kind of response.
I agree. I mean, I live right by there, so I saw some of the police cars going by, and I think they did a fantastic job, Dr. Drew. You don't want to take any chances, especially with what's been going on our college campuses recently. And there was a big response to that press conference, actually. A lot of people turned this into the whole gun debate issue again. Is it guns that kill people? Is it people that kill people? And I think that takes away, that's a fine discussion to have, but let's not lose sight of the real victim. I mean, this young man, this young professor was shot and killed. He was a husband. He had 2 young kids. Now those kids are growing up without a father, and I think that's what we need to focus on here.
You know, not only that, Anahita, who could withstand the overtures of a 13-year-old male? I mean, Anahita, certainly you've been in that position many times, and of course it was impossible to withstand those
the younger the better, right, Dr. Drew? I mean, this is really, let's call it what it is. It is becoming an epidemic.
But it's bizarre. I can't help it. I'm giggling because it's insanely bizarre, no?
Yes, and the way she described it, that we were in love, we had a loving relationship.
Of course,
He's 13 years old, Dr. Drew, and like I said, we are seeing this more and more with female teachers having sex with their male students, and it's just as wrong. It doesn't make a difference if the victim is a boy or a girl, but yet we're seeing this double standard once again, like we do with all of these stories.
Well, no, I'm not sure that's true.
People are congratulating the boy. Yes, they are.
Yeah,
people are congratulating this boy.
Well, that may be, but they are very misguided because these young males end up, Tiffany backed me up on this, until CPS started questioning her about the relationship with the boy. Anahita, that speaks volumes that she chooses to get the abortion after she's investigated.
Right, and they were having unprotected sex throughout all of this. And just to piggyback on what Tiffany was saying, even if the boy was making advances towards the teacher, she's the adult in the relationship. And you have taught us, Dr. Drew, it is up to the adult in these relationships to draw the lines, to draw the boundaries.
Thank you.
So I don't like the fact that we're sort of, I don't want to say blaming the victim, but, you know, at the end of the day, it is her responsibility. And on top of that, not only is she the adult in the relationship, she is the teacher. She is in a position position of power over him, and that is the MO of child predators. They know how to pick their victims.
Oh, that's absolutely 100% true. Police say she first mother. Anahita, should he be taken out of the home?
I don't think so, Dr. Drew. Without more facts as to what was going on in that family, I don't think the child should be taken away from his parents. I mean, certainly they should be required to get parenting classes, to go to counseling.
Anahita, let me give you some more data before you give us your opinion. Here's what one of the neighbors told a local station, quote, she, the mother, was having a lot of kids in her home. There was drinking in the front. We always found beer bottles and beer cans on her side of the lawn, and half of the teens did not look older than high school, maybe. I don't know.
That's certainly a problem, Dr. Drew, but I think at the end of the day, I don't know if it does the child any good to remove him from his parents. He's already been victimized once through this teacher. Get them counseling, get them help.
2 years ago at this 10 seconds, you agree with me?
It doesn't, Dr. Drew, and I'd like to know what type of psychological problems her husband now has after being abused by her.
It has been chronicled.
I wouldn't be
He's been having some difficulties.